Check it out. Let me tell you one.
Freedom Hall!
What is up, my MMA brothers and sisters? Welcome to another episode of, well, it's Let's Talk MMA, but if you guys have noticed, Get to Know is kind of a new section I got on the YouTube sections there. And I started finding out I'm reaching out to more fighters. I'm starting to do this a little bit more often than there is events. So Get to Know, I guess, is the name of this kind of show that I'm doing, where we get to know a fighter, whether it's my first time meeting them, but they've had a long career, or like today, we got a up-and-comer. You may or may not have heard of him, but his name is Nohelin SUAVE Hernandez, and this guy, he's out of AKA. I'm from San Jose, so I got my San Jose Sharks hat on, and I'm just excited. He's a young guy who looks very confident in his recent fights. He's 2-0 in his pro debut. So we're gonna get to know him. So let's just jump right to it. Let's give him a call.
What up, man?
What up, brother? How are you, sir?
Doing good. What about you, man? How's it going?
I am fantastic every time.
Good to hear, man.
Now, let me ask you right off the bat, just because I want to make it clear. So, I see your name as Josh. I see your name as Nohelin. Suave, of course, and then Hernandez. What do you typically like to go by?
So, it just kind of depends how you know me, where you know me from. My legal name is Nohelin Hernandez, and that's that's my legal name. Josh is actually my middle name. And I just prefer that people, I guess it depends how you know me. Like I said, sometimes Josh, sometimes Nohelin. You guys can call me whatever you guys want. Preferably, hopefully you guys recognize me as Suave. That's my fighting nickname. Yeah, man. So.
Sounds good. Well, I think at least as the websites that I've seen, Nolan's been the most common. But then I've seen
Right.
Josh, so then I just wanted to get it straight. But hey, Suave, I'm all right with that. And how about you? Let's start us off. How did Suave come about?
That's a good question, man.
I could assume, but I want your story.
Yeah. So the way it started was it was around the time when I started fighting. Right, I was looking at fighters, and I started to notice that everybody had like a cool nickname that just kind of went with them, and I thought that was really cool. And I had a couple of amateur fights, before I realized, like, hey man, I need to give myself a nickname. And I thought of a couple here and there, and I just wasn't feeling them. My parents gave me one, I wasn't feeling that one. And so one time I go into the barbershop, right? I go and get a haircut by my boy Randy over at Garlic City Barbers in Gilroy, California. Make sure you guys check them out. I sat down, got the haircut. It was a comb over. I think a lot of people have it, and I still have it to this day. And that was my first official time at a barbershop. And after I got done with the haircut, I was just like, oh man, I like this. Like I look smooth, I look suave, and and that's where I got it from, man. And ever since then, I've just been telling people to call me Suave. And the ring announcers will be like, hey, do you have a nickname? And I'll just tell them, yeah, Suave. And it's caught on, and I think.
You're sticking to it.
I think it fits. So I think it fits, man. So it's what I'm doing. It's how I got it.
I'm gonna agree, and we'll lead to kind of your more recent fights. But my first time meeting you, and maybe for a lot of people too, I always like I do see fighters having a career. Obviously, it's the way you make money, so on. But I also feel that as a martial arts journey, and I've seen a lot of fighters kind of as they get older in the career, they learn a lot about themselves and so on and so forth. So I like to know where it all started. So you were born in Gilroy, and I'm from San Jose, so I got my San Jose Shark hat on.
Oh, okay.
So we're from the same neck of the woods. So
Cool.
How did you kind of get started with martial arts, or just at least individual sports?
Right on. Hey, man, that's a great question, and and it's a great opportunity for me to share with everybody that might not know how it all began. Of course, some of my family members and some of my close friends know, and again, this is a great opportunity. So the way it started was, I was a teenager. I think I was like a sophomore in high school. I think just too much, testosterone or whatever the case was at that time. I was just getting into like a bunch of random fights, and it was all out of, I think, wanting to test myself against other people. I think it's just always been inside of me to fight. And, the way it started was there was a martial arts program here on the east side of Gilroy, where I'm from. And yeah, it was a free program. It was a free martial arts program headed by Coach Mario De Leon. He's got his spot over in San Jose now, but at the time he was coaching here in Gilroy. And one of my buddies was like, "Hey, you know what? Let's go check it out. I think it'll be fun." And I was like, I had no idea what the hell he was talking about martial arts, because I've never really heard of it. I used to play soccer and I skated for a long time, and martial arts was never really in my radar. Yeah. And so I go check it out. Right off the back, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it's just because of the physical element that it requires you to possess. And
how old were you at that time? How old were you when you saw that?
I think I was about like 16 or so, I believe. Yeah, it's been a while. And so I started at that age. And, from there, it just took off. I started training really hard. I would show up to every single practice. I would not miss a single practice. And it just pretty much consumed my life after that. It was a good time.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool, because I think it's fairly common, where, maybe there's not necessarily trouble or anything like that. But like you said, the testosterone, or, especially at that age, somebody comes up to you, they, you better do something about it or whatever. But I think that's where martial arts has that misconception,
right? Yeah,
that it's a fight and it's brutal, and of course it is. But there's a lot more that goes to it. So it seems like it was a good outlet for you to kind of express yourself.
Yeah. I definitely don't know where I'd be right now with martial arts. Again, I don't think I'd be out doing some crazy things, but at the same time, it opened up a lot of doors for me, and everybody around me is somehow related to martial arts now, and it's great. And
awesome.
It's been a big blessing in my life for sure.
That's awesome. Well, like I said, I'm from San Jose, so AKA has been the one gym that, if I learned about a gym, that was the first gym that I learned about, obviously, because it was in my own backyard.
Right.
So, 16, you kind of got started with martial arts. You now are probably addicted to it. What age did you find AKA?
Well, that's a story itself. Let me start saying the prayer side. I was doing that for a long time, for I think a solid year. And unfortunately, my coach at that time wasn't able to provide martial arts on the daily. It was only like maybe twice a week, 3 times if we were lucky. And so he recommended me that I go to a different spot, and I actually spent a lot of time over there. I think I spent like a good 3 years of my martial arts career over there. I picked up a lot of knowledge, and ultimately, that wasn't working out for me, and I made the decision. It was a hard decision. For sure, and I had to make the decision myself to go to AKA and move over there and start training with some tough guys, and my martial arts from there just kind of expanded, and I've progressed. So I'm very fortunate to have made that decision and go train at the AKA.
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret. AKA is one of the biggest gyms and has, obviously champions and the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, it was definitely a good choice. I mean, I think you can make it anywhere, but, I think sometimes when you have a gym where there's at least more guys that have this higher competition and skill, I mean, that's the only way you're going to kind of elevate. So, I mean, obviously you've been doing good. So let's go into your amateur. You had a handful of fights there. How was that experience for you?
I mean, I've had a total of, I'd want to say 10 amateur fights. I think 9 of them were camo sanctioned, and one of them was through, it was an amateur Muay Thai fight. And I think that the amateur career is really where I got my feet wet into the real world of competition. And looking back at it now, both the wins and the losses that I've had just made me the person that I am today. And today I stand as a 2-0, undefeated professional fighter. But yesterday I had, 4 amateur losses to my career. I was able to amount to 5 wins. And it might not be the prettiest record, but I can say that I fought some tough guys. I got my feet wet with both stand-up and wrestlers, jiu-jitsu guys, and I was able to learn a lot. And that's why I think right now that's really what gives me the edge in the pro world, because I've seen it. I've seen it. I've felt it. I've gone through it. I've gone through the tough losses and the great wins, and combined with AKA, man, it's great. And that was my amateur career. I think that at one point I was ranked 5th in the state of California, and I was a one-time amateur champion in Salinas for a promotion called Central Coast Throwdown. And I think that was back in 2014 or 2013. I can't remember, but it was a good night.
Yeah, I mean, those amateur, I recently talked to Henry Corrales, and he just went straight to pro, and he did very well. But at the same time, obviously amateur, there's nothing on your pro debut or pro record. You got a bunch of experience, and now leading into your pro fights, you are 2-0, which is obviously a fantastic start. And what I really noticed, and this is why I think you have a bright future, is I've seen, I don't know, I'm sure I'm in the thousands of fights. I've been watching UFC since the beginning. I'm 31 years old, so I've just seen a lot of fights. So when I see you, not only do you have, now let me ask you this really quick though. 145 featherweight is where you're at now, but you did have some amateur fights at 135. Where do you think is where you're gonna stay?
So that's a good question. So 145 is where I was at for my last fight. I fought a total of 2 times at 145, once in my amateur career and once in the pro career. But I want to say that naturally I'm going to stay at 135, and that's what I am. Okay. Naturally.
All right, sounds good. Well, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, even at 145, because I saw your pro fights, and that's where I first saw you. I looked you up. And then I was like, man, this and you're young too. You're 22 right now?
Yeah, 22 right now.
So you got, there's so much ahead. So for me, honestly, it's an honor for me to talk to you now, because I truly feel like it's only going to progress. And what I was really going to say is, for your body type and your style, I mean, your striking is so confident. It's just crazy to see at such a young age. But obviously you've had so much experience that when you're in there, you only got, I recently saw your last fight, and it was just how comfortable you looked, and you're moving your head, and it's just like, wow, this kid's gonna be good. So let me compliment you on that. But so that kind of leads me to yeah, you're welcome. What are your goals? What do you kind of foresee for yourself?
Another great question. Before I answer that, I want to just go back and talk about my last fight and why I'm able to look as natural as I do. And one of the reasons is because I pride myself in making sure that my technique, first and foremost, is always there. It's the foundation to everything. Martial arts or the real world. You got to get your basics or essentials down, and that's where all the rest of the things will come. And so, yeah, priding myself in technique and making sure my technique is right. But to answer your question, your other question was
the future.
For now,
the future.
Yeah, the future. And that's again a great question. I, to be honest, don't really know. Right now, I'm just taking it day by day, making sure that I'm training hard, winning my fights. Staying on top of my life outside of fighting, in case that for whatever reason one day I get of course I want to make it to the UFC. I want to make it to the UFC. I want to fight guys, and I want to get paid, and I want to be on TV. That's what I want, really. But I also know that sometimes that's not always what's going to happen or what could happen, whatever the case is. So in the future, I look to either make it big or make it big outside of fighting. So that's what the future holds. And I think more importantly, giving back what I've learned is, I think, a little more important to me personally than my own, future in this sport. If I may somehow influence somebody else, I'll take that.
Yeah, no, that's really cool because before we even started this, why don't you go ahead and let us know where you're at? Where you're at right now, anyways, the building that you're in.
Oh, yeah, right. So I'm in a little chair right now, but I'm going to cruise around. So if you guys can see in the back, I got some, martial arts equipment, some mats, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been coaching kids for a very long time. I'm 22. I actually started coaching at 18. Again, through my first martial arts instructor, he let me coach. He let me coach the class, and it was great. And then eventually, he had to leave to finish his master's degree. And he was like, there's nobody else here to do what I'm doing, and so do you want to do it? And of course, I was nervous and scared and was wondering if I could do it. I was doubtful, and I just said at that young age, again, I was like, let's do it. Not really thinking what was going to happen or how it was going to turn out, but it turned out very great, man. I have a lot of young, talented kids that train with me, all out of the east side of San Isidro Park, all around East Gilroy, and it's great, man. It's great because I'm able to not only give back to the kids that I think might need it, but also possibly give them an outlet to get out of some bad situations that they might have. So I take great pride in that, man. The kids are the future, Kids are the future is all I got to say.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, you want to give back. I mean, you're very mature for your age compared to, unfortunately, a lot of people that I run into. And you got a good head on your shoulders. And one other thing that you kind of said that I completely agree with is take it a day at a time. I always say, we only get a day at a time, and you might as well smile your way through it, help any people that you can. And of course, your own personal goals are important, and whatever comes, whatever the journey has in store for you, it's going to happen anyways. So just kind of go through. So, but speaking of right now, you got a fight coming up, Global Knockout 9, March 18th. So not too soon, but pretty soon. So I'm sure you're preparing for that.
I have a tough training camp with AKA. I got a tough jiu-jitsu team here in Gilroy, Claudio Fronta, Coalition 95. I'm getting my training in at both places. It's going great. I feel strong. I feel fast. My cardio, even weeks before the fight, is great. I can only imagine how good I'll be feeling that night. And going back to me taking this fight at 135, I'm gonna feel great. That's my natural weight. I fought at 135 at the time. And I just honestly think my opponent will be ready, or he'll be ready to his standards, right? But not to mine. I'm just gonna go out there and get it, man. He's undefeated, 4 wins, 0 losses. I'm undefeated, 2 wins, 0 losses. But I'm going in there technically not undefeated. I've gone through my battles. I've gone through my fair share of losses. And I know that I'll lose a fight one day, but this fight here, I don't think I'm going to lose.
No, that's cool. And just like we take one day at a time, one fight at a time, I mean, believe me, from the outside, and I mean this honestly, from the outside, looking at you perform, and for you to say that you pride yourself in the technique and all of that, doesn't surprise me at all, because you looking confident. Just the strikes that you do, your wrestling, I haven't seen too much of the grappling side yet, but hey, if you can do the magic on the stand-up, then why not? So, like I said, I think your future is looking bright. I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I'll probably bug you again later.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you reaching out to me. I hope next time I'll be at a better state in my life with more wins and whatnot. Or maybe sooner. Maybe we can chat after the fight and to see how things went. And I hope everything goes great for your show. Shout out to my sponsors. Shout out to Gilroy. Shout out to my friends, family.
Awesome. And if you ever want, you reach out to me. If there's ever something going on you want to talk about, want to get it out there. I mean, I'm just a phone call away, and yeah, man, I'm really excited for you. And yeah, after your fight, it seems like it's in a while from now, but it's gonna come sooner than we know it. And I mean, best of luck to you. I truly feel you're gonna do some great things if you really want to. You have a good heart, and good things will come your way. I feel it.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Like I said, like you said, Matt said, let's take it one day at a time and see what happens. So I appreciate you again reached out to me, man.
All right, brother. All right, Suave. So until next time, you take care, man, and best of luck in your training. And thank you for giving back and setting the example. That's really cool of you.
Thank you, brother. Make sure you guys check me on Instagram at Suave_135. And you guys can like my page on Facebook, Josh SUAVE Hernandez. You guys can, find me on Snapchat, whatever the case is. Stay tuned, everybody.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Thanks a lot, brother. Until next time, man.
All right, man. Take care.
Peace, brother. All right, all right. Unfortunately, we got a little connection problems there at the end, but luckily we got a majority of that. For me, bright future. If you haven't looked him up again, so you can see what I'm talking about, you might see him as Josh, but Nohelin SUAVE Hernandez. He's 2-0. He's about to have his third pro fight, Global Knockout 9, March 18th. If you guys are in the Sacramento area or Central Valley, or even want to make the trip from the Bay Area, tickets are still available. I'll leave his information there if you want to support him. It's Suave is the offer code, but I'll put his information there. And hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time, peace.